Oi, oi, right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is the Doodle Review, and you're joining us here for the Sunday Jazz Club, a series where I, as an avid listener and lover of jazz who is in no way an expert, take on a jazz album from the present or past, tell you what I think of it. This series is intended for novices like me who are looking to expand their jazz library but don't really know where to start. Hopefully these videos can give you some inspiration of what to check out and what you might like. If you are a jazz expert and you happen to stumble across this vid and you know more about this album or have some thoughts, chip in down below in the comments, let us know and give us some more hot recommendation tips. Today we're talking about the album Speak Moment. It's an improvisational free jazz record put together by Dave Harrington on guitar, Max Jaffe on drums and Patrick Shiroishi on horns. Fans of electronic music might be familiar with Harrington. He's one half of the duo Dark Side with Nicholas Jarre, and in addition to that group, he's worked with tons of other artists on soundtrack work and remixes. He even worked with Alanis Morissette on a recent ambient album she put together. Jaffe is an expressive and impressionistic jazz drummer who again has played with multiple artists including Cass McCombs and Rubble Bucket, among many others. What makes Jaffe's playing so interesting, especially on this record, is his expert mastery of what's known as sensory drumming. For those like me, who is not a drummer, don't worry, I looked it up. Sensory drumming is a technique that's enabled through new technology that fits onto a drum kit, allowing a drummer to manipulate and create completely new sounds beyond just percussion. Sensors are applied all over a drum kit, and using a digital audio workstation or DAW like Logic or Pro Tools with a special plugin, the drummer can basically apply effects to their drum hits in real time, as well as assign other sounds all over the kit. It's pretty amazing technology, and Jaffe is clearly an expert in how to really get the most from it and innovate, and you can hear it all over the Speak Moment record. In my notes, I've made several references to these fluttering, what sound like palm muted guitar sounds that are delayed to create this kind of Doppler effect or butterfly effect. But now, in hindsight, having read this, I'm pretty sure actually a lot of that comes from Jaffe's drums, which is remarkable. When you first read that this album was put together completely improvised in just one take on one afternoon, initially you're like, how the hell do they create the massive sounds at the peak of tracks like How to Draw Buildings? But now, knowing a little more about what's going on with those drums, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Patrick Shiroishi is the one member from the trio that I was already familiar with. I've enjoyed his work for years now in one way or another, whether it was collaborating with artists like M Sage on the Cached Media set of albums that came out in lockdown, still some of my favourite ambient releases ever, or his work amidst the chaos of alternative noise rock outfit The Armed. This guy is always cooking up something cool, and this is just one more example of that. As far as the album goes, this is very much a free-form improvisational record. The pieces are long and they find their way as they go. If you're completely new to jazz, particularly free jazz or the more avant-garde, you may find it a struggle at first, particularly the absolute chaos of the jazz noise freak out of Ship Rock, a track that even myself, who's built a pretty strong tolerance and appreciation for weirdness over the years, has been inclined to skip on a couple of plays throughs. But that's okay. Personally, I think it's best never to go into these types of records and put like the pressure on yourself to absolutely love everything, or put on a front and kind of chin stroke your way through a track as if you're, connecting to it on some deeper level if you're really not. For me though, Speak Now is really the only track where the trio lose me, and even then it's a transitional moment on the record, taking you from one epic piece, Dance of the White Shadow and Golden Kite, through to the finale, Return in 100 Years. The colours will be at their peak. While it might feel like an uncomfortable moment of the wheels completely falling off, it both adds to the climax of Dance and makes the payoff of Return even bigger. I don't have the skills to talk about an improvisational jazz album like this without just, giving you a beat by beat breakdown of what happens in each track. So I'm just going to talk through one of my favorite pieces, and I thought I chose the 7-minute mid-album piece, Dance of the White Shadow. This is a piece that rises out of swirling hypnotic rounds of saxophone that eventually settle and start to trace out the sketch of a melody. Jaffe builds and builds underneath this with a number of percussive sounds, assumedly from this kind of sensory drumming effect, and they begin as bongos and then start to kind of feel like water droplets underneath a detuned snare and a hi-hat that act as the core of the groove, and blossoming guitar tones underneath this. I think this one in particular would be a good listen for any fans of Sons of Kemet, because the percussion has that kind of Tom Skinner groove at points. This actually starts to accelerate to the point where the percussion almost becomes like a propeller blade going round and occasionally catching these odd different notes as it goes around. And this is just one of like 4 really epic pieces that rise and fall in different ways. And so if that's piqued your interest, definitely go give it a listen. For me, I've really enjoyed it. The only thing I feel holds it back at points are the fact that this is just one live performance, meaning there are times where the artists are really reaching the limitations of the instruments they have available. And it would be cool to hear what they do with a whole studio arsenal that they could utilize in overdubs and whatnot. But I guess that would be a completely different experience. I'm going to hit this one with a 7.3 and knock it on the head. That's just what I think though. What are you guys saying? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and check out other Sunday Jazz Club reviews linked in the description if you can be asked with all of that, and you may as well subscribe. Stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just tell some abuse in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers mate, bye.